Well, I think from a very young age, I really loved gathering and telling stories. So until about the age of 12, I stayed on a fairly regular basis with my great grandmother. And so she would kind of tell me all these stories of, her siblings and her father and mother and what life was like in the South in the early 20th century. And so I think I learned a real love of storytelling at that point in time. First of all, I think you have to be a good reporter. And so to a certain extent, kind of have an audacious kind of personality, not to be shy or unwilling to kind of communicate with other people. I think you have to have just a healthy curiosity about the world around you. I think that you clearly need to be proficient at writing and editing and production. I think that those are all very important skills to have. I think that a good journalist also has, a healthy level of skepticism, and that they're critical thinkers. And so one of the first things that I did that I felt like was really important was, I had kind of gained this great kind of level of base experience at the independent student newspaper at the Red and Black. But I knew it was so important to kind of gain other levels of experience. And so, I was a freelance reporter in the Athens area. So I worked at newspapers like the Athens Banner Herald and the Gwinnett Daily Post, and took stringer positions with them. And then I worked as a student assistant for the University of Georgia's athletic department. So, I was at all of the games and worked the games for them and kind of wrote for their promotional magazine. So those were really good kind of layers of experience. Well, so, as anyone who's ever had my class knows, I was born in Athens, Georgia, and I bleed red and black. And of course I had been to college there. I think that I learned a sense of detachment when I was a student journalist at the Red and Black. So I'd had opportunities to cover, everything from, UGA's track and field team and cross country to, the football team in that role as a student. And so I learned kind of detachment there. That said, when I was in the press box, I think I was practicing, as a detached journalist and being a good detached journalist. But the moment that I stepped outside of that press box, I think that I really was still, a bulldog. It's really interesting because after my time was over at the Gainesville Times, after I moved on and became a magazine editor, an editorial associate at the Athens Magazine, we got season tickets again. And it's so funny. My husband, I think for a period of time, kind of hated going to games with me because I would get up in the stands. And first of all, I would really gripe about how hot it was, or how cold it was, or if we're sitting out in the rain or the sleet, because we go under all conditions. I'd say stuff like, "It's not like this in the press box," and I also was kind of frustrated that no one was kind of bombarding me with like food and stats, because that's what they do to you when you're in a press box. So. And I guess the other component, shortly after, it was really hard for me to cheer because that was kind of not a part of my mentality anymore. I hadn't cheered for so long that like the act of cheering took time for me. It took time to come back. and not to feel like kind of a strange circumstance for me. So. And so then the second part of that I would say, if you don't have the credentials, position yourself as a freelance contributor. Let them know that, you know, you're going to try to sell this piece, this product, right? The other thing that I would say is, still go through the proper channels, right? I mean, you wouldn't just walk up to Michael Jordan, right? You would go through his media relations staff. And, hopefully you're kind of gaining insight into kind of the inner workings of, media relations departments in classes like 375 or 475 or 365. And so you would kind of be able to go online and find the media relations contact you need. And if you're a working journalist in some form or fashion, whether it's for Atlantic Monthly or the Maryville Daily Times, or you're just a freelancer, they're gonna find a way to help you out. That's their job. So.